Hi, thank you for joining me. We will be live in approximately 1 minute and 40 seconds. We will be going live in approximately 46 seconds. Hi, and thank you for joining me on this very hot Tuesday afternoon. My name is Wayne from Ascend Custom Designs. I am a small business owner and a part of the xTool Squad program. What is the xTool Squad, you might ask? The xTool Squad is a global network of experienced makers, educators, and small business owners, such as myself. We offer one-on-one demos of the xTool products that we own. Demos are a mix of online and in person. It differs by the host that you select. We offer material testing and skill training as well. So material testing involves testing customer supplied samples under a number of different parameters to get you perfect results. Whereas skill training is essentially a one-on-one masterclass with an xTool Squad member. So we'll hold your hand and very much tailor it to whatever you need help with. So from setup and maintenance to perfecting your projects, you're covered in any direction you choose. So it's very much custom to what the client wants. And I should note that the material testing and skill training are paid for services in the sense that you will have to pay for them. So each host will have a different cost, what their time is worth, whereas the demos are absolutely free. And that brings us into the xTool promotion. So right now, xTool are paying the host for their time. So we get paid for doing a demo, regardless if you buy it or not. And I should be transparent by saying that if you do buy a machine, the host that you go with will get a small commission. If you would like to find out more information about the xTool Squad program and how you can book an online or in-person demo, if you go to support.xtool.com/xtool-squad, you can find out more information. And what I'll do is I will drop some information about the xTool Squad booking a demo, so the demo rooms, into the chat. And what I'll do is I'll also drop my information into the chat. So if you get stuck, feel free to reach out to me. My contact details are also below on screen. So wayne@ascendcd.com, +44 7846 110 270. I'm on WhatsApp, iMessage, and obviously normal text message. And if you want my social media handles, you can go to info.ascendcd.com, and that will have all the different social media sites that I'm on, as well as my contact information. So with that being said, if we jump over to the workshop, so today I'll be using all three machines. So yesterday I used a combination of the F2 and F2 Ultra. And if you didn't tune in, I'll show you what we was looking at in terms of effects. So a gold effect. So this is the one that we did live. So this is a dog with a wasp, and as you can see, there's a very different result. And again, with this, with the butterfly, a very different result. So we use science, use the F2 Ultra UV, superheated the slate to the point where instead of burning, this here has gone hard, and it looks gold. It glitters, so it looks literally like gold. It's fantastic. It looks painted on. It's a very nice effect. And if you tuned in yesterday, you would see that this took 7 minutes on the F2 Ultra UV. And bear in mind, the F2 Ultra UV is capable of speeds of up to 15,000 millimeters a second. This took about 3.5 minutes on the F2, which has a maximum speed of 6,000 millimeters a second. And the reason that took so long for something so tiny is we had to run it very slow with high power and high dots per inch, so high DPI or lines per centimeter. And that is how we got that reaction. So we'll cover more on that later if we get a chance. I've been asked if I can do another demo of that. If I get chance, if we have time, we will cover that. But for the most part, we'll use all 3 lasers today. I want to show you the difference. So I use each laser to what it's good for, like its prime, the one thing that it really excels at. So for example, on the M2, you can engrave, you can cut. So I can very much engrave a coaster on there. However, if you have a galvo laser, you can do the same job in a shorter amount of time. So I like to stack or maximize, as I like to call it. So I like to stack my multiple lasers to maximize my efficiency. So I'll show you how I use multiple lasers to maximize my output. So minimize my time, but maximize my output. So I'll go through that today with you. We'll do a physical look around of all the lasers. We'll then briefly cover some laser safety, so just some points that I like to mention. Then we'll jump straight into the xTool Studio software. Currently it's version 1.7.3. I'll then briefly cover Atom, Custom Things, and AI Make, as well as the xTool Academy. So all the features that other laser manufacturers don't really have. So xTool has a complete ecosystem, so I'll cover that. And then we'll jump straight into a project. So today, what I want to do is cut out some wood, and we'll make some challenge coins. And then again, if we have time, I'll go over that slate coaster again, and I'll show you how we stack multiple lasers to get a very, very nice result. So if we jump on the xTool M2, so this is the xTool M2. It comes in 2 variations of diode module. So you have the 10 watt and 20 watt diode laser modules. It also has a 3 watt infrared module. So the diodes are very good for organic materials, and the infrared is very good for marking metal. So with a diode laser, you'll have a very difficult time getting a meaningful dark engrave or mark on stainless steel, for example, whereas an infrared, even though it's a lower wattage, it's a completely different wavelength, and it will mark the metal much easier. This machine also has the inkjet module, so it's able to print. Some people use the term print and engrave interchangeably. That's not the case. Lasers engrave, printers print. So this does have a print module, and you're able to print with it, and it's full color. So it's CMYK, that stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and K for black. And this is a fully enclosed class 1 laser. So by fully enclosed, it means that this machine will not operate with that lid open. So the other 2 machines, the galvo lasers, we can override the safety feature, and we can operate it with the lid open. So this is a true class 1 laser, and you cannot override that. So you don't need safety glasses when working with the M2. This camera features a dual camera system. It has a 5 megapixel panoramic camera that is located on the lid, and a 2 megapixel close-up camera that is located to the right of where the modules get installed. And I'll point this out on the show around. It features some advanced features such as auto detect material, Realistically, you should know what material goes into your machine for various reasons. So for example, leather, you might know that it's leather or know that it's real leather, but you need to know how it's been tanned, for example. So has it been tanned with chemicals or has it been tanned with vegetable oil will determine whether you should engrave it or not. If it's been tanned with chemicals, the chemicals will be released as you vaporize it, as you engrave or cut it. So it could be quite dangerous. So know your material. So this feature is very handy, but there's certain materials that you should still not engrave if you are not 100% sure it's laser safe. This machine has a maximum speed of 600 millimeters a second, and it comes pre-assembled. So all you have to do is a brief alignment or calibration, and then you're good to go. In terms of the work area, it has a max space of 42.6 centimeters by 32 centimeters. And there's an asterisk next to that because the space does get reduced. So the usable space gets reduced depending on what module you have installed. The 10 watt and 20 watt, you will get that max space for the diode laser. But if you use the infrared laser, it's a slightly larger module and the space reduces. And then again, with the inkjet module, the space will reduce even further because it's a more beefier machine and it needs some clearance to take off the cap that stops the ink from drying out. So there's a magnetic cap that attaches to the module and the machine will intelligently pull that off when you need the ink and then snap it back on once you've used the ink. If you want to find out more information about that, please scan the QR code that you can see on screen. That will take you to xTool's official UK page for the M2, and you can find out more information about the M2 there. If we crack on to the xTool F2, so this is xTool's very portable, very cost-effective also galvo laser, and it features a dual laser system. So it features two lasers. It features a 5 watt infrared laser and a 15 watt diode laser. Because of this, it's able to engrave on well over 300 materials, probably closer to 500, but I always say 300 to be safe. It can engrave on an absolute ton of different materials. It has a max speed of 6,000 millimeters a second. So you'll notice the previous one. So the M2 had a max speed of 600. This has a max speed of 6,000. That's not a typo. The reason for this is it's a galvo laser. So the M2 is a gantry-based system. It moves left, right, up and down. So it physically has to move the laser. Whereas this galvo system uses a mirror or mirrors, should I say, to bounce the laser around the bed. The benefits of a galvo laser is you get very high speed, but one of the downfalls of a galvo laser is you get a reduced work area. So you're looking at 11.5 by 11.5 centimeters versus the galvo, the gantry-based laser of 42.6 centimeters by 32 centimeters. So there is a trade-off that you need to be aware of. In terms of camera, this machine has a 50 megapixel camera that allows for a live workspace preview of the materials that are in the bed, and it has an alignment accuracy of up to 0.1 millimeters. So that should be noted, and it's very, very accurate. When you use the camera in this machine, it honestly is very, very accurate. And if you pair it with the framing, you can't go wrong. This machine also comes pre-assembled. And like I said, it has a workspace area of 11.5 by 11.5 centimeters. This can be extended in terms of width to a maximum of 40 centimeters with the slide extension. So you keep that 11.5 centimeters of depth or width, depending on how you look at it. But you can expand to get to that 40 centimeters. And again, that's with the slide extension. And if you want to find out more information about that, please do scan the QR code that you see on screen. Again, that will take you to the UK official xTool website for the F2. Right now, I should say that there's a sale going on, so everything is very discounted. If you do want to purchase a machine, now is probably the optimal time. It's very rare that they have a discount of this caliber, so there's constantly discounts available, but at varying levels. So right now, it's a very high level. If you're not sure or want an additional discount, I can get you an additional discount through Host Assist. So that will be an additional 1% off. You just have to let me know what you want. I then can run that through. All I need is your email address and name. You'll be sent a link to the official UK xTool website or whatever region you're from. And you can just follow that link and pay for the item as normal, but you'll have that additional 1% discount. So if that's helpful, please do reach out. My contact details are in the chat and are on screen. And finally, the xTool F2 Ultra UV. So this is xTool's UV laser. It is a 5-watt UV laser. It might not sound like a lot, but it's a completely different laser source. So it's sometimes known as a cold processing laser. So it's able to engrave nearly all types of material because it's very delicate with the way that it engraves or the way that it cuts in some cases. So it uses the UV wavelength's high photon energy to break molecular bonds with minimal heat. And that's the key word there, minimal heat. It's not to say that it doesn't produce heat, because it does. So when I was engraving this yesterday, for example, after taking it out, I could feel the heat on this. So again, it produces minimal heat compared to a CO2, a diode, or an infrared laser. It's capable of speeds of up to 15,000 millimeters a second. So it's over double the speed of the F2. It has a 48 megapixel camera and has an alignment accuracy of up to 0.2 millimeters. So it's still very, very accurate. This machine excels in inner engraves on glass. So if you have K9 glass, it's a very high specification of glass. You can engrave an image or sometimes a model, a 3D model, or a 3D image basically of whatever you want on the inside of the glass, and you can physically turn it around. xTool Studio is capable of turning a 2D photo into a 3D photo, so that you have your possibilities all open to you if that's what you want to do. Again, it comes pre-assembled. This comes very well packaged. It's a fairly heavy machine, 22.5 kilograms. Comes with a metal plate that holds everything in place. It comes very, very well packaged. Very, very nice to unbox. It's a nice, pleasant experience. In terms of the workspace, 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. So it's much larger than the F2, but still short of the M2. You can expand this work area up to 50 centimeters, and that is with the conveyor belt. So the conveyor belt operates slightly differently than the slide extension. The slide extension just literally moves along and moves back. The conveyor belt very much operates how a conveyor belt at a store would work. So Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's. You've probably seen the conveyor belts. The conveyor belt works very much in the same way. If you want to find out more information about this machine, please scan the QR code. And again, it takes you to the official UK website for xTool for the F2 Ultra UV. What I'll do now is we will do a physical look around of the lasers. So I'll start with the M2, I'll jump to the F2 Ultra UV, and then finally I'll end with the F2. If anyone has any questions in the meantime, please do drop them in the comments. I will be checking them periodically. If anyone has any questions while I do the physical look around, I won't get back to you till I've finished because I'll be away from the PC. So if we switch over to the M2. So this is the M2. This is the 5 megapixel camera that is located on the lid that I was referring to. If I open this up, this is the inkjet module, or the laser module, sorry. So the laser module can be taken off. I can do this one-handed. So it's a simple case of unplugging the machine, or unplugging the wire that is connected to the laser module. So this is just simply a USB-C to USB-C cable. It's magnetically attached. So if I pull that, it comes off. And again, this is the metal prongs, and there's magnets located on the actual module holder. This is the inkjet module. So if I was to switch between this, it's a simple case of just snapping it in and connecting it. And that's it. It's as simple as that. That's how we've changed modules. You could easily switch from a 10 watt to a 20 watt diode module or the infrared. It's very easy, very quick. So we'll leave the 10 watt diode module attached. When you close the lid, you will notice or hear a beep. That automatically takes a picture with this 5 megapixel camera of the bed. And to the right of the module, this is where that 2 megapixel camera is located, the close-up camera. And I'll show you that in action. In terms of buttons, there's a power button on the back, so obviously it's switched on. And there's a single button on the front. So when you send a job to the machine, the light will change green. I simply press the button and it will start. This is a class 1 laser, so if you was to open the lid while it's operating, it will shut down. For that reason, there's no emergency stop. If you needed to stop the machine for any reason, you can simply open this up. So it's impossible to operate this machine with the lid open. Now, if we jump over to the bigger machine, so the taller machine, should I say, this is the xTool F2 Ultra UV. So if we go over to the UV, there we go. So this machine can be operated with this lid open. So when you do that, you will need the appropriate safety glasses. It comes with an L bracket, so you can align things easier. In terms of buttons, on the side here, there's nothing. But on this side, which you can't see, there's a red emergency stop button. Simply hit that. In case of an emergency, it will stop the machine. In terms of other buttons, there's a power button on the side along with a reset button. It has some connectivity on the side, so if you want to connect it via computer, I have this connected over Wi-Fi. And in terms of venting, I have this vented outside along with the M2. So both this machine and this machine are venting outside. And then if we jump on to the xTool F2, as you can see, the size difference, there's a very big size difference. This is nice and easy to carry. This is very portable. I've taken this on the train as well as the bus. This also comes with a L-shaped bracket, and that makes aligning objects easy. So if you want to square it off, you know it's level. So it's very handy to have. The base plate can be taken out. So right now it's in. In terms of buttons, there's a red emergency stop on the left-hand side of it when looking at it face to face. And on the other side, there's a dial that also allows you to increase or decrease the laser's focus. This machine in particular, I have connected to the air purifier as I demo that off. So I do not have this venting outside. I have it venting to the air purifier. And if I was to put in this black paper and just move it out, you may or may not be able to see just how close. If I just zoom that in there, so you can see there should be 2 dots that you can see. So you'll see a red dot and a blue dot, and you're able to quickly get those into focus using the dial on the back. So you can do that manually. The dial also operates as a button. So you press the dial in as a button when you want to start the job. The machine can autofocus the laser, so it can automatically focus the laser to the correct distance from the material through the software, and I'll show you how to do that. If I also show you how to do that on the F2 Ultra. So the F2 Ultra does come with a touchpad, and I'm able to raise or lower the machine. So if I turn the machine on, it will then turn on the touchpad. So this is touchscreen. And if I zoom into the actual base of the F2 Ultra, and again, if I was to move this and put this on here, you'll see, and I'm able to use the up and down buttons on the touchpad to put it into focus. And again, I can use the software to focus that in automatically. So with that being said, what I'll do is we will jump over to safety aspect of things. So in terms of safety, never leave the machine unattended. It is a laser, and there's a chance of creating a flame with the laser. So if you run it on high power and low speeds, you'll see there'll be sparks or flames. So please never leave the machine unattended. Be safe. Put it on a flat, stable surface. Don't modify the machine. And then in terms of ventilation, you want to vent the fumes. So the preferred method is outside. I know that's not always possible for multiple reasons. If you can't vent it outside, xTool have you covered. If you have the smaller machines, so the M2 or the F2, you can use the air purifier. That's around £269. If you have a bigger machine like the Ultra, you'll need the AP2, that's the air purifier 2, and that comes in around £1,000. So I think right now it's on sale, might be less than that. But that's what you would be looking at. And then in terms of things that you should never engrave, you never want to engrave PVC. So a lot of vinyls, most vinyls contain PVC. I briefly touched on it with a leather wallet. Fake leather wallet even might contain PVC. So it's knowing your materials. If you do engrave PVC or something that contains PVC, when it creates the gas, so you'll engrave it and you'll get some smoke, some fumes. It's very, very dangerous for your lungs. So it's very harmful for you. And on top of that, it will eat away at the glass lens in your machine. So it will corrode your lens. So you do not want to do that. As a rule of thumb, I never engrave vinyl. There is laser safe vinyl that you can get. I use a vinyl cutter if I want to cut vinyl, and that's it. I never use a laser source. That's just me. Always check your material and see if it's laser safe. So plywood, for example, you might go to a local Wix and go, the plywood here is cheap. I'll use that. Is it laser safe though? Is the glue that is used in it to stick the different plyboards together, is it laser safe? Some glues contain formaldehyde, and you don't want to be creating formaldehyde gas. So please do check your materials. There's lots of places where you can buy laser safe materials. So xTool, for example, they have a store where you can buy materials. If in doubt, please reach out to me and I'll point you in the right direction if I don't know the answer. And in terms of safety glasses, so xTool do have their own safety glasses. I do have a third-party pair, but I know that this third-party pair does not protect me from the UV spectrum. These aren't normal safety glasses in the sense they're not protecting your physical eye from, they're not protecting your eye from physical damage in the sense of something hitting it. They're protecting it from the light. So you can see that they're tinted, so these are green. So the safety glasses filter out certain wavelengths of light, and you need to make sure that they're giving you adequate protection depending on what type of laser source. These protect me from all the lasers that I have here in the office. So the diode spectrum, the UV spectrum, and the infrared spectrum. And then that's about it. So if we switch over to xTool's website, if I just quickly jump over to my basket, so I have everything here just nice and easy so we can go over it. So this is the 3-watt module for the infrared. It's back on pre-order status, so it's out of stock again. It was in stock the other day. This is the 10-watt deluxe version. So this is the model that I have here in the office. So this is with the 10-watt diode along with the color print module. This is the AP2 that I was referring to. You can get the AP2 Max, but you would only need that with the metal fab or the P3, so the really, really big machines. So if you have a bigger machine, the AP2, and I should note that the AP2 is compatible with the M2, but you can use the M2 with the air purifier as long as you buy, as long as you make sure to get the correct adapter with it. So when you buy the air purifier, there's a couple versions. There's one that works with the M2 and one that doesn't. Make sure you get the adapter. So the adapter is something that looks much like this. So it just changes the 8 centimeter hose of the M2 to 7 centimeters. That works with the air purifier. So you can do that. And then in terms of the rotary attachment, you have two different versions. So the RA3, for example, is magnetic. Do check that it will work with the machine you're buying. So for example, the RA3 currently does not work with the M2. There will be an adapter that will be released later that will allow you to mount the laser in a different orientation to make it compatible with the RA3. This is the slide extension for the F2 or the F1 and F1 Lite, and this is the auto streamline conveyor, so that conveyor belt I was referring to when I showed you the F2 Ultra. So you do have lots of different options. If you're stuck or want some advice, please do reach out. And again, I will either know the answer or point you in the right direction. So with that being said, if we jump over to xTool Creative Studio. So this is free software. You can download this today and give it a play, even if you don't have an xTool laser. So you won't be able to attach it to anything. This software only works with xTool lasers, but you can have a look at the software and play around with the interface and get familiar with it. And what I'll do now is I'll drop a link to the software in the chat. So if you're looking to download the software, please check out that link. And if I show you where it is on the website, that will hopefully help. So if we switch back over to the website, you can go over to software and you got xTool Studio. If I just hide my face there, you got xTool Studio. If I click on that, it'll open up in a new tab. Click download, it'll take you to the bottom of the page and you can see here. And I would always advise read the release notes. xTool are constantly updating the software. One of the many reasons I like xTool, they're constantly adding new features, constantly innovating. So please do check that out. And if you want to book a demo, you can go up to local service and you got product demo. And from here, you can find a host. So if I was to type in London, got Luton Airport there. So just click on Luton. You've got a whole list of people that you could book. So I could go, okay, Andy. If I click on Andy, I can see that he's got a 5.0 rating. I can filter out by the type of machines. So I can go, do you know what? I want someone that has the F2 Ultra UV. And indeed, Andy does. And I can go, do you know what? I want in person. Guess what? Andy offers in person. I can go, okay, continue. And I can then book a demo. So a demo, there's no cost to it for you. So this is all the information it asks you. And then you've confirmed your booking. So you just have to have your name, your email address, your phone number, machine you've selected. And then what that will do is that will send an email to the host where the host can either accept your booking or reassign it to another host. When the booking commences, the host will get paid for their time and it's cost you nothing. So xTool is paying you effectively to have a demo with the host. So it's a fantastic idea. Where possible, I would highly advise you do an in-person demo. So I'm set up here in the office for in-person demos. I have a machine here where people can jump on it and they can play around with the lasers while I'm on my machine here. So I created it in such a way that it's very much like a workshop where you can, like at school, where you can have a play around with things. Seeing is believing. It's very good having an online demo. It's very convenient, but seeing things in person is night and day different. You can also get a grasp of the actual size of some of the machines. So like the P3, for example, is an absolute beast. And then you got the F2 Ultra UV, which is some of the things it can do just boggles the mind. So it's always good to see these in person, but you have a whole wide range of options available to you. So we jump back over to this. So we'll jump onto the xTool Studio now. So if I show you the actual software, the first thing I like to point out is this xTool Academy. So the xTool Academy is xTool's official resource, and it's a video-based resource. So it's not just a set of words. So I could go, do you know what, F2 Ultra UV. You've got some official resources here, and they're very much set in the style of you get a little certificate, so to speak, at the end of it. You get a little mark that you've completed it. So it's good knowledge to have. I would always advise you go to General and check out the safety. You do get a certificate. It does come in handy. It has real life values to it. Highly recommend you do it. It's good knowledge. You can never be too safe, especially if this is your first laser. It's just good information to have. You can also check out courses by collaborators. So here you've got Paul. He's collaborated with xTool to create a little course. You might have seen him on the xTool squad. So Paul is a xTool squad host, so you can book a one-on-one demo with Paul. You can book skill training or material testing with him. I highly recommend you check out his videos. They're very, very informative. It's good knowledge to have. And you can follow him as well on Facebook and YouTube and the usual social media channels. So I highly recommend you check that out. xTool also have this Atom. So this is a place where you can download, upload, so you can share projects that you've made. It's nice and easy. If you're brand new to laser engraving, you can get up and running very, very quickly. So you can go, okay, I want to make some stackable drawers. If you click on it, I can open that up. It tells you what material was used. That will even link it to xTool's official materials list. So if you use official xTool material, there's all the settings there. So there's no guesswork in terms of what will give you the best engrave, what will give you the best score, what will cut the material. xTool have taken all the guesswork out of it and made it so you can get up and running very, very quickly. Finally, there is custom things. I won't go too heavy into this, but I will say it allows you to set up a store, and you're able to get up and running very, very quickly selling online. It integrates with existing websites if they're WordPress based, so WooCommerce, Wix, Shopify. I like to say Squarespace. So it does have a lot of integration. So if you have an existing website, it will integrate with it. It does work with Etsy. And what it allows you to do is when a customer places an order, you create a product and allow the customer to do certain types of customization. For example, on a keychain, you might say they can only put text on it. On a coaster, you might allow text as well as images. So the customer will customize the product the way they want. They will send it off, and you can simply and effortlessly import it. So if we go over to here, for example, I've got the card stock here. So you could click on customize. I could go blue. I could then customize it the way that I want. In this case, I got templates. So a template is a quick way to get an existing design with just a few places where you can customize it. So in this case, it's Father's Day card. So the only thing you can customize is the name. So if I click on that name there, I can change that to Wayne. You would then confirm the design, submit it. And then on the actual back end, if we go to orders, and again, you can do this through the actual xTool software. You can see what I created here. I can then hit process, and then what it will do is it will load it up in the software with all the settings that you've predefined, and you're ready to go. Literally, if I hide my face, you are literally ready to go. So if I hit that process, it selected the right laser up here, you're ready to go. It's absolutely fantastic. So when people ask me, you know, why xTool, their software makes a big difference. You might have a laser that can engrave, that can cut, but if you're fighting against the software, you're never going to get the results that you want. So xTool works hand in hand with their hardware, and you get the absolute most out of it. And they try and increase your ability to produce finished product while reducing time or guesswork. So it's fantastic. If we go to the home screen, so this is the main interface. There's a couple ways to add a new project. So if you're starting off, you simply click this plus button or new project. So if I click this new project, it will automatically connect to the last laser that I used. So in this case, it was the M2. It will take a picture of what's in the bed. So in this case, I've put some scrap wood in there. I'm also using these little connectors. So I didn't mention it before, but if I was to quickly show you a video and jump on that video to where these little connectors are. So the M2 doesn't have a bed, so you're not able to do items that are very, very tall. It has a max working height of 26 millimeters, but it does come with these little magnets that can raise wood off the bed, and underneath it I've just put a steel protector that doesn't come with it. I'm just putting that under there to keep the bed pristine as I'm doing a lot of demos and I get asked questions if certain things come pre-engraved. It just saves me having to answer questions as to why the bed looks a certain way. The bed will get engraved. On the M2, I've already engraved the bed in a couple of places. On my F2, I've engraved the bed. On the F2 Ultra UV, I've engraved the bed. It's just the nature of working with lasers. The bed will get engraved eventually. It doesn't hurt. It does hurt your sensibilities, at least it hurts mine. It's a very normal thing. So if I was to just show you a quick video, and I'll jump in this video to this is a physical look of the xTool M2. On the front, you have an alley. This is the magnets that come with the xTool M2. So you get 4 of these. This is the underside. That is what it looks like from the side. And that is what it looks like when you pull it out. So these simply pull out and you can twist and snap them. And again, if I show you from this angle, they pull out and twist and snap, and they just pull down. So these are very good for gripping material. I've gripped wood and I'm able to raise it off the bed. So when you're cutting, you want it raised up slightly so air can get underneath it, so you get a smoother finish, a smoother cut with minimal charring. This is actually a novel way of being able to do that without using a honeycomb. If anyone has any questions about that, please do let me know. So I hope that made some sense. So I'm just using them so you can see. So if I zoom in, you can see here that I am using them. So I've used 1, 2, 3 of them. It is honestly a very, very novel way of keeping the footprint of the machine down as well as the cost. but not limiting you on what you can do. So like I said, you have to raise it up, or it's best to raise it up off the bed, and that is so you can get some airflow underneath, and it does help reduce the charring. So that it does have air assist, this machine, and that will help reduce it as well. But when there's some clearance from the bed, so from what it's touching, it really does help. So what we'll do here is we'll do some challenge coins. So what I'm going to do is, if I go over here, I'm just going to copy and paste what I've got here. Or in fact, we will do this. So the first thing you want to do, I have the assets here. And what we want to do is choose the material. So I'll choose the material here, and we'll go with plywood. It's just over 3 mil, but it should be fine. And next thing we want to do is measure the material. So this will automatically get the laser the correct focus away from the material. So with that being done, you can see here it's entered a value. We can enter it in manually. And now you got this close-up picture. So if I show you just what a single close-up picture looks like, you can see the difference. So that's that close-up camera that is located to the right of the module. So if we stitch some pictures together, so it's going to take multiple pictures and stitch them together, and you can probably see where it's been stitched, but it gives you a better idea, and the camera is more accurate on this close-up camera than the one that is on the bed, even though it's 5 megapixels. So we have an accurate representation. And what I want to do here is select the red. So I've selected the red layer. So if I just show you the screen only, you've got different layers here, different colors, and they're for different things. I typically have the red layer as a cut layer, and I've got the green layer for the text, and then the icons are like an orangey layer, with grey being the writing underneath, flip to decide. So if I just select the red layers, and I'm just going to copy and paste, you can see it only copy and pasted the red layers. So it's grouped them inside by the looks of it. So if we have a look at the grouping, we can drag that out, and I can drag that one out. There we go. So what we want to do here is we just want to put these on the bed. I might copy and paste that again. And we'll see what we can fit on here. I think that's going to be about it. Yep, we'll only fit that many on. So we'll leave that be. So we get 1, 2, 3. And we'll see just how accurate, because there's a little piece cut out here. And you'll notice that when we select it, you have a few options. Score, engrave. So score, engrave becomes filled, and cut kind of looks like score, but the settings are completely different. So for cutting it, it also comes up with a reference for all of these. You can see what it looks like in terms of scoring, engraving, or cutting, and you can select the different options and it will change the settings accordingly. So here it's 100 power, 8 speed, 6 speed, 4 speed. So we'll go with the 6 speed and we'll see if it cuts out. We'll know if it cuts out or not because it will drop out. If it doesn't drop out onto the bed because it's raised with the magnets, we know it's not cut all the way through and we can run the job again. So if that happens, I'll show you how to do it, how to correct it, I guess. It's not the end of the world. What I tend to do is, rather than try and cut wood in one pass, I always do a lower power with a faster speed and multiple passes, and that can help reduce charring. So if you're cutting wood and notice it's charring around the edges a lot, speed it up and do multiple passes. It's a way to reduce the charring. You can also get it to focus the laser further down, closer to the material as it's cutting out material. So with a thicker material, say 8mm, you might want to do 3 passes, and then every pass it goes down a millimeter or half a millimeter closer to the material. So you do have many different options. So I'll stick to the stock settings. I've not done anything special. I'm just going to hit process and it's going to cut it. So I've sent the job, and now to get it to start, I simply push this button here. It will move around. If I show you the screen, I'll hit enable monitoring. This is here is a live feed from inside the machine using that 5 megapixel camera, and in the bottom left is an external camera. So you can see it dropped out that circle. And what we'll do is we'll engrave the same coin in multiple lasers, so you can see the difference. So it's cut out all 3 of those coins, and I'll confirm that by going over and physically looking at the machine. Right now I can hear the fan still going on. So 10 seconds after it finishes, the fan will vent, be sucking out all the smoke. So it's stopped. You can change the fan to operate longer. So I can see in the bed that all these have indeed dropped out. So if I zoom in a little bit more, you can see very much that these have dropped out. So if I just take out this material, you can see these have indeed dropped out. And if I show you what they look like underneath the desk, so you can see the charring. This is scrap metal, so this is scrap wood. So on the back it's already engraved, but we're going to be engraving on the clean side this. So what I'm going to do is, if I switch back over to the pan tilt zoom and just a general look of all the machines, I am going to put in challenge coin in all of the machines. And as you can see here, for example, I did very much engrave the bed here. So like I said, it does happen. It doesn't hurt the machine. It's just the nature of the beast. Might be annoying, but it's still very functional. And finally, I'll put one in here. So what I'm doing now is I'm manually focusing, and I can't automatically focus. So I'll show you how to automatically focus. Both these machines here, they both automatically focus. So if I was to jump over to the software, I'll show you both. We'll zoom in on the F2 Ultra UV. And I don't know how well you can see. You should be able to see 2 dots. So you can very much see 2 dots there. Now, I've got the M2 open here. It's already taken the picture. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to connect to the F2 as well as the F2 Ultra. So up here, got device settings as well as switch connect. I'm going to switch to the F2 Ultra. So now it'll take a picture. So you can see here in the bed, and I'm going to automatically, and you can see there the software's automatically done it. Now I'm going to new project again, and I'm going to use the F2. Hi, Claire. What I have down, so what I have right now on my, if I zoom back in to that. So what I have here is simply a steel plate that I brought this a while ago. So I've been in the laser engraving industry for many years. This is a plate that I had with a machine that I purchased probably 4 years ago. You can, if you want, in a pinch, use tinfoil. Obviously, the problem with tinfoil is actually cleaning the bed. I clean my bed after every engrave or every use. And the tinfoil will obviously easily be hit with the vacuum cleaner. So, for example, one of my first purchases was the vacuum cleaner there. So I like to clean my machines, but you can purchase a steel plate. So what I've put in the bed of the F2 and the F2 Ultra, this black plate here. So this is specifically used for cutting, and I've just got it here just in case it accidentally engraves the bed. Like Claire's mentioned, you will end up with pretty designs on your bed. It's annoying, but it's the nature of the beast, and it's normal use. I've engraved all my lasers so far. This M2 I've engraved just a little bit, but I've been very mindful as I'm doing a lot of demos. And like I said, people ask me questions all the time. Does it come with a flower? And the answer is no. That's something I engraved on it accidentally, or it's when you've cut out a flower shape, it will burn through the wood and go onto the base plate. And again, it's normal behavior. So now I have 3 different machines. I will do, so I'll connect the last one to the F2. So you can see here now the F2, and what we'll do for good measure is we will do an auto measure. And it will automatically update the picture as well. So we have the challenge coin, and what we'll do, just for fairness, we will delete the red bit. So the red bit, actually, we will keep it on there. We will hide it. See here, output. I've hidden now that red layer. We'll group this back up. And if I do the close-up, if I do close-up here, so I'm going to do a close-up view, do a targeted measure. So it's going to measure it. You're more than welcome, Claire. So what I'm going to try and do now is align this up. As you can see, it's still with the close-up camera, even though I measured it. So if I, again, just do a measure, just to make sure, because when you measure it, it does affect the camera, so you want to get the measurement correct. And if I take another picture, so that just does the overall picture, this does the close-up picture. That's much better. So you can see that's pretty accurate. So that is all set to the right settings because we set the plywood. If I hit process, You can see here it's going to take 1 minute and 12 seconds. So we'll do the same thing again. So what I'm going to do here is just click copy, paste. And again, just move this over. So the added benefit of a galvo laser is you have this thing called framing. And you can frame in real time. So I'm pretty happy, I'll be honest, with how accurate the camera is. So I ain't even going to frame. And the one thing I want to change is I'll also set this plywood, and that will set the appropriate settings on this device. And finally, I'm going to do the same thing again for the F2. And again, you can see it's pretty accurate in terms of where it is. And again, I'm going to set the material to plywood, and it will set all the settings. So the engraves is all set. So if I hit process on this, this is going to take 8 seconds. If I hit process on the UV laser, this is going to take 8 seconds as well. And you're looking at 1 minute 12. So I'm going to start the M1 first. I'm going to close the lid on both machines. I'm then going to minimize at top, switch over to the F2 Ultra, hit process, hit start. I'm going over to the F2 Ultra and hitting the start button. So I can see that's engraved. That's already done. So the F2 Ultra's already engraved it. I'm going to process F2, also 8 seconds. And again, if I was to move over to the bed, show you full screen, I'm going to engrave that now. You can see the smoke. And all of them are done now. So if I take F2, F2 Ultra, M2. So we're going in reverse order. So M2, flip to the side. You can kind of see some of the details. The F is just missing, and I'll go over why that is. Then this is the F2 Ultra UV. So it's dark, but if I smell it, it's not as high of a smell in terms of the other one. And again, this is with the F2 Ultra. The F2, sorry. So this is the F2, the baby one, 8 seconds, F2 Ultra, M2. So you can see the difference in terms of speed. And you might be saying, why did I do that? Why did I show you that? And the reason is use the best tool for the job. So the M2, it cuts it, and the results are pretty much the same, but I was able to engrave in 8 seconds. So if I hit process on that again, 1 minute 12. So 1 minute 12 is 72 seconds. So in the time it takes to engrave one on the M2, could engrave 9 of these on the F2 or the F2 Ultra. So they're very different, and there's nothing bad about the M2. The M2 is a fantastic piece of machinery. It's just the nature of galvo-based lasers versus gantry. So galvo lasers are extremely fast. So You might be saying, why get the M2 then? Well, the reason for the M2, one, you're able to print, but two, you have that bigger work area. So without the M2, I'm not able to cut wood down to this size to do an ornament on my other machine. So what I like to do is stack the machines. I can have the M2 cutting away on a large piece of material. So for example, if I switch over to the actual lasers, if I just grab a piece of, and this is a smaller piece of wood, so this is just some simple plywood, this will easily fit in this machine. If I put it in this machine, can you see the issue? I can't close the enclosure. And again, on this machine, that's not, the enclosure is not all the way down. So this becomes the issue. So I'm able to turn this size material or bigger into smaller pieces using this machine. And there are machines that are bigger than this that can turn even bigger pieces of plywood, because generally speaking, the bigger the piece of plywood, the more cost effective it is to buy. So I'm able to turn big pieces of wood into smaller pieces of wood that can then be engraved using a second laser, a secondary process. So I hope that all makes sense. And that is exactly what I did with this. So the slate coaster, we did the slate coaster yesterday, and I was able to engrave this on the F2 and this on the F2 Ultra and get that lovely gold engraved that offers a very sharp contrast. So when you look at this, that wasp stands out. When you look at this, that butterfly pops. So you're able to do multiple things. And again, if I show you on this one, this was done on a normal diode laser. This was done using the F2 Ultra, using a lot of power, or I think it was about 60% power, but very slow speeds. So we controlled the process and caused a chemical or a natural reaction on the slate. So instead of burning it, it started turning it to glass, and you get this nice gold engrave that you can really feel, and it really does sparkle. It's something that you have to see in person to really appreciate it, but hopefully it comes across on the video just how amazing it is. That's all we have time for today. I will be online again next week. I've not got a schedule yet, so I'm not sure when. But if anyone has any questions in the meantime, please do drop me an email, drop me a text message, reach out to me on social media, and I'll see if I can help you. Until then, have a good rest of your week. Stay cool, stay safe,